Hey everyone, and welcome. Does it ever feel like the world is just changing way too fast to keep up? You are definitely not alone. It seems like every day there's new tech, new jobs, new challenges, and honestly, it can be pretty overwhelming. But what if? What if you could learn to ride those waves of change instead of constantly getting knocked over by them? Well, that's exactly what we're talking about today. We're going to break down the one mindset that separates people who just survive change from the ones who actually thrive in it. Just think about it for a second. Think about your parents' or maybe your grandparents' careers. For a lot of them, it was pretty much a straight line, right? You get a job at one company, maybe in one industry, and you stay there for decades. That was the dream. That was stability. But today, our careers look a whole lot more like a winding, unpredictable path. There are twists, there are turns, and it's always evolving, especially now with AI kind of shaking everything up. This new world, it demands something totally different from us.
You know that old saying, the only constant is change? Well, it has never been more true than it is right now. In this new era we're in, being able to adapt, to learn new things on the fly, and even to reinvent yourself, that's not just some bonus skill you put on a resume anymore. Nope, it is an absolute necessity for success. It's the real difference between just getting by and truly thriving.
So let's get into what actually happens inside our heads when a big change hits. A reorg at work, a new piece of software, maybe even a layoff. Our brain's default setting is to fire up a system that's literally thousands of years old, the fight or flight response. It's this primal survival instinct that was designed to protect us from, a saber-toothed tiger. The thing is, it's not always the best guide for dealing with a scary email from HR.
First up, let's talk about the flight response. Now, in the office, this doesn't mean you're literally sprinting for the exit. It's more subtle. It's that feeling of denial when they announce a new system you have to learn. It's the procrastination, where you put things off, just kind of hoping the problem will magically solve itself. It's that deep, powerful urge to just stick your head in the sand and wish everything would go back to the way it was.
And what's the end result when we're always choosing flight? Well, it's not great. It leads to stagnation, right? You stay put while everyone around you is growing. You miss out on huge opportunities, that cool new project, that promotion. And down the line, that often leads to this nagging feeling of regret, of being left behind. Honestly, it's a fast track to becoming irrelevant in your own career.
Okay, so that's flight. Now let's flip the coin and talk about the fight response. This is all about facing that change head on, but maybe with a bit of aggression or resistance. You're not running away, which is good, but you're still reacting from that same ancient, stress-fueled part of your brain. And that can easily lead to conflict, to clashing with your team, and eventually to total burnout.
So if flight leads to stagnation and fight leads to burnout, you have to ask the question, right? There's got to be a better way. What if we could move beyond just reacting on instinct? What if we could approach change with a real sense of purpose and intention?
And that brings us to the hero of our story today, the growth mindset. This idea comes from the brilliant psychologist Carol Dweck. And at its core, it's the belief that who we are and what we're capable of isn't just set in stone. It's this powerful idea that our skills, our intelligence, they could be developed through hard work, smart strategies, and listening to feedback from others.
And this contrast you see here, it is everything. Someone with a fixed mindset believes that talent is just something you're born with. So they avoid challenges because they don't want to risk looking bad. A setback feels like a final judgment on who they are. But with a growth mindset, the entire game changes. Challenges? Oh, those are the very things that make you smarter. Setbacks aren't failures. They're just feedback. And criticism? It isn't a personal attack. It's basically free coaching.
And listen, this isn't just some fluffy think positive mantra. It is a fundamental rewiring of your entire perspective that actually changes your emotional response to things. So where you used to feel fear, you start to feel curiosity. And where you once felt stressed out, you start to see opportunity. It's a total shift.
All right, let's make this real. Let's talk about how this plays out for actual people. Meet John. He spent 15 years, loyal to one company, building his whole career there. And then, out of the blue, he was laid off. Now, for most people, that would feel like an absolute disaster. The end of the world, right?
But John chose a different path. The first thing he did was reframe the whole situation. This wasn't the end, it was an opportunity. So what did he do? He immediately started upskilling, diving into digital marketing courses to get his skills up to date. He networked like his life depended on it, not just to find any job, but to explore completely new career paths. And the result? He landed in a rewarding new chapter in a much more dynamic industry. Okay, here's another one I think a lot of us can relate to. Maria was a team leader who really thrived on that in-person energy and collaboration. And then, almost overnight, her entire team went remote. All the old dynamics were just gone. Her entire workflow was thrown into chaos. So instead of fighting it or resisting it, Maria saw the change as a catalyst. She jumped in headfirst, learning all the new online collaboration tools. But more importantly, she completely reshaped her leadership style to fit a virtual world. She encouraged her team to be open about their challenges and to create solutions together. She didn't just adapt, she actually became a better, more effective leader because of it.
And for our last story, let's talk about a really recent challenge. Meet Linda. She's a software engineer who had really gotten into the groove of working from home. She loved the flexibility. So when her company announced everyone had to come back to the office, she was filled with anxiety about losing that balance she'd found.
So what did Linda do? She decided to tackle this anxiety head-on. She acknowledged it, sure, but she also forced herself to focus on the real benefits of being together in person. And instead of just complaining, she actually offered a solution. She proactively went to her manager with a proposal for a hybrid work model. And she even set new goals for herself, to use her time in the office to intentionally build stronger relationships. I mean, these stories are so powerful, right? Because they show that this mindset isn't just some abstract theory. It gets real-world results. So the big question is, how can you start actively building it for yourself? Let's get into the toolkit. All right, here it is, your toolkit for thriving. First, you have to embrace lifelong learning. Your skills just have a shorter shelf life than they used to. Second, cultivate flexibility, because I promise you, your next great opportunity probably won't look anything like your last job. Third, actively network and collaborate. Your connections are your greatest asset in a world that's always changing. And finally, you have to consciously practice reframing every challenge as an opportunity and seeing every single setback as a lesson. Look, if you take only one thing away from our time together today, please let it be this. The entire practice, the whole thing, boils down to a simple but powerful shift in your internal monologue. You have to catch yourself when you're asking, what if I fail, or what if I'm not good enough, and consciously, intentionally replace it with a much better question, what can I learn from this? Because let's be honest, the next change, whether it's in your career, your industry, or just the world, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. It is coming. The only thing you truly have control over is how you choose to meet it. Will it be with fear and avoidance, or will it be with curiosity and an eagerness to grow? The choice is all yours.